Producer Joe here from the Working Fans Podcast. And at the Working Fans Podcast, this is just a podcast that three lifelong fans created to have a place to talk comedy and pro wrestling. Now, our comedy podcast releases every Tuesday, while our wrestling podcast releases every Thursday. We release bonus episodes under the moniker Working Fans Presents every now and then. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, any major podcast provider. The important thing is just please like, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to us. Now, we have started a new thing. We are now on Amazon and Audible. So those episodes release every Monday. And that's kind of going through the archives and just releasing our old episodes in a new area. So if you want to live through the process with us again, take that journey with us again, you can find us over on Amazon and Audible. Now, if you can't get enough of us in the audio form, check out our YouTube. It's youtube.com/C/Working Fans Wrestling Pod, or just search Working Fans Podcast on YouTube. We have the whole archive is up there. And if you listen to the Working Fans Podcast, you are more than familiar with the 531. That is our signature segment where we take your top 5 list on a particular subject, vote it down to a top 3, and then debate it down to a top 1. Now, guys, if you want to hear 3 guys talk shit about comedy, wrestling, life, anything, you will enjoy the Working Fans Podcast.
It's the man they call Dave and the Working Fans Combatcast. And as the last few times, I got my buddy Chevy here. Chevy's back, and we're going to have a new, we'll say, semi-regular on the show. This man's identity might not be known to some. Some might know him. But today he is Carny Usada. And I don't think, I'm honored to have you on, sir. I mean, you've gotten a few of my favorite fighters, but you know what? They probably had it coming.
I appreciate it, but I look forward to the day that maybe we can hit a UFC event together or watch something together.
That would be good. I also, your room looks familiar to me too, but that's, beside the point. I'm not going to, as far as I know, you're from parts unknown, and
I'm from Destiny City. This room does not look familiar to me, though, so I'm glad.
All right. Well, on that note, let's just fucking get right to it. Carny Usada, Chevy. I'm still tweaking this format a little bit here, but I thought we covered a couple topics and just kind of riffed on today. And one of them I thought would be we'll get right to it. The interim heavyweight title fight. Cyril gone. As in, Cyril is gone in 60 seconds. I think I heard somebody say one time. Yeah, John Pollock said that. And, the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, they're scheduled to fight. I know Francis is upset. His manager was really upset. His manager, I thought, was great. Like, he told Dana White, I don't give a fuck. You want to blackball me? I got these emails. You really want to do this? There was no response. I felt like he won that round. The manager won that round. But at the end of the day, man, I just think if you've been watching UFC or MMA for a while, and I know we have, guys, the interim title is, if anything, is just inconsistent. It's really just used as a prop. And if I was Francis, I get it. You're an athlete. You're a fighter. You're proud. But don't take this bullshit so seriously, bro. It's simply they wanted to – somebody feels – and I heard it's Hunter Campbell, seems to be the rumors from Hawani, feels that interim titles sell, and it's now. Do they sell? I mean, maybe to a casual, but I don't know for the target audience. I don't think we give a shit if this interim title belts on the line. It's been so devoured. So, Carny Usada, how about you? I'll start with you, buddy. Let's see what you got.
I think that's exactly what the interim title is for the casuals. And I'm pretty sure it was, the undefeated, undisputed, never lost around Chael P. Sonnen that said something a few years ago along the lines of Dana White or UFC has this thing about having to put titles on their posters because that's what's going to pull the casual fans in. You'll be watching whatever sports channel it's on. You'll see the setup for Lewis and Gane, and you'll see that interim title fight. And that might appeal to you more than if you just say it's a number one contenders fight, because that's really what this is. And those of us that watch, we know it's a number one contenders fight. We know the winner of this is going to get Ngannou. But the thing I don't understand about it is that, I guess I can see both sides. Ngannou wanted to stay active, and he wanted to fight. He was already training, and the guy just won the title a month ago. This isn't Conor McGregor who went and won a title and then sat on it for a year and waited for him to be forced to vacate it. I know they wanted him to fight Lewis, and I believe the big deal about this is this fight's taking place in Texas, right? So they probably wanted Lewis to be able to fight for a title in front of the people. So I think that's probably what's happening here. So I feel Ngannou kind of got screwed on that deal because, like I said, he just won that title. It's only been a few months, but the way UFC probably sees it, if this wasn't enough time for you, if you wanted to wait till September, too bad, we need to fight now. But I think the interim title should only be used if the champion is forced to vacate it. Like, let's say you're 9 months into a title reign, haven't defended anything, and you get injured, and they need to do something, maybe that. But we already know the winner is going to get Ngannou.
Chevy, anything you want to add to that?
I agree 100% with Carny Usada. I think it's funny that, we all love Stipe, but how long did Francis have to wait for that DC Stipe trilogy to get wrapped up before he got a shot again? He took other fights in between, but yeah, 3 months, especially in the heavyweight division, not a long time not an acceptable amount of time to wait between fights, I feel like. UFC is kind of hosing Ngannou, but as far as his management and Dana goes, he's never going to win that fight with Dana or the UFC, or they make all the choices and everyone else has to deal with them.
Yeah, agreed. I guess, if anything, the real complaint about these interim titles is we know they're a bullshit prop, but I guess maybe we'd like to see a little consistency used at it, right? Okay, so a fighter gets injured or is inactive, then maybe you put an interim title, but you have to at least wait 6 months. I think that's a fair thing. And then otherwise, unless the guy retires, or something happens like that. But then if a guy retires, you're pretty much going to be crowning a new champ anyway. So yeah, I guess I'd just like to see a little more consistency with this. Ngannou's team don't give a fuck, it looks like, as far as that goes. But you're right. At the end of the day, it's UFC, and they got all the money. And I think even us as fans will say, we kind of know, what's going on a lot of times. And we're still going to watch because we're drawn to this. We're drawn to the fighters, and we're drawn to, the stories, and we're drawn to the competition. But, God damn, I do not want to have another interim title. It's so devoured. Go ahead.
How often do you see someone win an interim title and actually treat it like they've won the championship? A lot of guys will throw it down or say they want the real belt. It's just like a prop. And this whole thing with Dana too, he just kind of does what he wants because he'll make the Nate Diaz and Edwards fight 5 rounds, and that's not a main eventer for a title.
Right.
So why not just create interim belts or everything? Remember, there was a period a couple of years ago everyone was fighting for an interim belt. I think I got an interim title shot at one point. Showing up for the show. I
remember that. I was proud of you. I think it's interesting is that the only guy I remember ever defending an interim belt, and there might be more, but the only guy I remember seeing was actually Renan Barão. So that's going back to 2011, 2012.
Did Tony Ferguson defend? He had his interim belt and treated it like a real belt.
Yeah, he definitely did. I'm trying to remember if he did defend it. You might be right, but regardless, not a lot of defenses. I guess that's the big thing, though, right? And the champ is still here. He's still strong. He's ready to go.
He was on vacation.
Right. He took some time off. So,
You know what? On that topic, though, there's possible outcomes that could happen with this this interim title fight that I think is it's probably going to be a talking point for a bit because
it's an interesting fight. Go ahead. Yeah.
And the thing with Ngannou too is like Chevy said, he had to sit and wait for the winner of DC and Stipe. Why couldn't Lewis sit and wait for a couple more months ready? Like the dude just started training for the fight and finds out there's no fight. So, I mean, you could take the winner of Gane and Lewis and give that to Ngannou, but I also think that I'm going to make a quick argument here for I think that there should be a Ngannou-Stipe 3, only because of the fact that Stipe completely neutralized him in the first fight. He got wrecked in the second fight. That would set up a rubber match. It's probably not that exciting to Dana White to push one of these newer up-and-coming heavyweights into the title picture, but I think the guy at least deserves it. And then you could take the losers of those fights and make them fight, and then the winner of that gets John Jones or something when he comes around. Because at this point, it sounds like John Jones is probably going to be sitting for a little while. If this dude wants to go up to heavyweight, now we got all these names in the title picture. I think he needs a tune-up fight before he gets the actual shot at the title, because I don't want to see him walk and get a shot at the champ because he's trapped.
I'm with you on that.
He needs time for all those steroids to get out of his system. Not that I know from experience. I'm just saying.
You might have seen him.
Photos of him, and he's looking kind of bubbly. But who knows? He's just that dedicated as a professional athlete, because I know he's never touched drugs before.
I heard he was hiding from you, but anyway. Check under that. There's an octagon or a ring. Right. Check under that. I think it is an interesting fight because especially Gane, he's undefeated, and so it'll be interesting to see if he beats Derek Lewis. That how he'll match up with Francis. I think he's a more polished striker, but boy, I'll tell you, Derek Lewis, he's just got that power, and boy, like he can turn your lights out. He's proven it so many times. There's so many times I watched Derek Lewis. I think we've talked about this, and he does not look like the better fighter, but somehow he comes out with a victory because he's got unbelievable power, but he's also really great at saving his energy and picking that one shot.
Yeah, ask Volkov.
Sure, yeah. And so, Derek Lewis, I mean, for that same reason, even though the last time it didn't pan out for us, I do think it's interesting to see him and Ngannou fight in a rematch, too. And Lewis has that win still technically, which I know everybody feels like, we all lost. Win. Yeah, we all lost, but by the way,
I was going to say the thing about the possibility of an Ngannou and Lewis rematch is that we were so hyped for that first one. But I think that, especially after that Stipe fight, I feel like Ngannou was so much more hesitant for a couple fights, but now I feel he's got to be so confident with how he's been that I feel like he'd probably be a little bit more aggressive against Lewis. And one of the things that I love about Lewis, like you said, this dude could get pieced up for 4 rounds and then the 5th come out of nowhere and just throw one punch and knock a dude out. So that could happen with Gane. Gane could just throw him around for the first 4 rounds, and then Lewis could land that one shot, and then they'll ask him about a title fight, and he'll say again, "No, I need to work on my cardio," because he doesn't need to work on his cardio.
Yeah,
that because Ngannou, he doesn't have the best cardio either. But I mean, he definitely made whatever adjustments he needed to with Stipe in that last fight. So I'm sure that if Stipe can't take him out, then I think that this division is going to have Ngannou on top for a while.
You said cardio.
He was getting murdered in front of his hometown.
I want to back up. You said cardio, and I think that's a great segue into our second topic. Nate Diaz. For Roz recently, coach of GSP, Roy McDonald, a lot of those guys at TriStar, recently said that he thought Nate Diaz, if this was unlimited rounds, that Nate would be one of the last guys standing because he has a remarkable chin. You can't submit him on the ground. And we saw that a little bit with Edwards, where it's he clearly lost the fight, but he caught him at the end. He was getting stronger. And I'm just kind of curious, I guess 2 things. 1, what do we think of that analogy for Nate? And 2, would you ever be interested in seeing a special attraction? It doesn't even have to be UFC, like Nate Diaz against someone in a 10-round fight. Because I think it'd be interesting. To me, the thing is, though, fighting is such game planning, too. I think guys would just eventually train harder for cardio and would still try to outpoint them. You'd almost have to do like a fight till no time limit, which is like gladiator shit, which ain't gonna happen, you know. But I don't know. What do you guys think about Nate Diaz, the Iron Man here?
I think that basically what you're talking about is Pride rules. So if we could have seen Nate in Pride, 10-minute rounds or whatever. I think you're right about if they had 10 rounds, 10-round fight, it'd just be like boxing where the fighters just take rounds off and fight at the end. That being said, Nate, he doesn't get finished on the ground or on the feet, doctor stoppages. So you're probably right. In a street fight or an Iron Man fight or whatever you want to call it, I like his chances against.
Yeah. I don't think I'm trying to think like anybody. Like I think one guy's finished him, Josh Thompson, one time. He caught him like with a head kick. He basically lured Nate in. And I don't know if that would ever happen to him again, though, because that was a long time ago, too. I mean, eventually he's going to get older, and obviously everything changes the more you get older. But Usada, what do you think, man? I mean, the Diaz boys are pretty clean, but you've dealt with them before. What do you think about Nate in particular? These jokes just write itself. I'm sorry.
I love Nate Diaz, but I think that he gets I think a lot of people have this belief that as the fight goes on, he gets stronger. And I think there's, a little bit of misinformation there. If I remember correctly, he's only had a handful of 5-round fights, and he's lost all of them. But so McGregor, arguably McGregor won that. I don't know. But he lost this Edwards fight, but that last minute was pretty damn exciting. And then who was it? Was it Benson Henderson? I think it was that he had years ago. And he lost that one, I believe, unanimous decision. I think that his cardio is just ridiculous. I mean, this dude's doing marathons for fun, which I think right there tells me he needs a mental health assessment. The thing with him is I don't know if he gets stronger as the fight goes on. I think his opponent probably just starts to gas. You're punching this dude in the face and kicking him in the head for 4 rounds, and you can't put him away. Eventually, you're going to slow down. But he has cardio for days. And, the same could be said with, I know Nick hasn't fought in like 6 years. He's at least won a 5-rounder, but I guess, Nate really is a marathon man, literally, especially when it comes to MMA. But like Chevy said, he's got those doctor stoppage losses. So I think he might just be too tough for his own good sometimes. Like Masvidal is beating the shit out of him at 244. And I was pissed they had to stop that because I was there and it was such a fun fight to watch, but it looked like you couldn't put the guy away. And I think the argument that we're completely missing is what about, you think that Nate has incredible cardio. What about C-level Kane?
What about, it's funny.
Than me, so
what about, I just think it'd be interesting, like, it's funny, like, if there was no stoppages, Masvidal's another guy, right? I mean, he got caught recently, but I'd be curious to see, like, he's a guy that has gone through a lot of decisions and lost some questionable decisions because people would find a way to point him back in the day. Like he's a fighter. There's certain fighters who just bring it, and you just see guys have to like game plan and point fight them. Which I'm not. Hey, good for you. Do whatever it takes to win. I know fans might not like it, but hey, the idea is to win. But it does make you wonder, like, man, if there was more time, more rounds. Like, who would be those last guys standing? For my money, some of the guys that pop in my head are the Diaz brothers, Masvidal, and God, I don't know, maybe C-level Kane. I don't know, but it's just like those guys just have cardio for days, and they can take so much punishment. Like you can see why fans get behind them and why they're real fighters in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, there's also probably a lot of guys between, let's say, flyweight and bantamweight that could come out of the 5th round still looking fresh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then again, I'm a guy who gets gassed walking up the stairs. So I'm absolutely jealous of their ability to have that type of conditioning. But like a guy like, Nate Diaz and some of those smaller guys, like he's not a small guy. And that's the thing is I'm so used to the small guys being able to go forever, but he just has a crazy amount of gas in the tank. It seems like he never runs out of it. Like you probably could knock him out and he'd still be running.
So I wanted to bring this up. This is not something we talked about, but someone mentioned something to me. I just want to get your guys' opinion on it. This is totally random, but I'm throwing it out here. I was talking about the Conor Poirier fight with somebody, and we were talking about how we both favor Poirier, but Conor does have hands, so you never know. And he was saying, this is what the kid said. If he has a shot, he's going to have to finish him round 2, maybe 3. But he added this, and I just wanted to get people's opinion on this. He said, but of course, the greatest thing would be is if Poirier just beat his ass for all 5 rounds, and then he clipped him with 10 seconds left and then won the fight. And I had to laugh because, and here's why. In other instances, that's probably going to be real exciting for people. Like Yair Rodriguez, he clips a zombie. Even though you love the zombie, great, so excited. But when Conor McGregor then is going to do that and then go on to get a title shot afterwards, probably, I just can't help but think, man, that is like heel 101. That is going to piss so many people off. So I just was curious what you guys thought. If that somehow was the finish of the fight, what would your reactions be? Chevy, I'll start with you. Usada, I think know how you think, but go ahead.
I would be so disappointed if that happened. Dustin, I have a bad feeling for whatever reason that Conor's going to get it done for some. I have no idea why. Couldn't tell you why, but I just have a bad feeling. But obviously, don't want that to happen. Huge Dustin fan. Want him to go on and get the belt. He deserves it. That would be some BS, but that's what Conor brings to the table. Bunch of bullshit. So
it's the X factor. It's that X factor that when you're dealing with a guy who is a good striker, you don't know exactly when. Now, I think if it goes 5, right? I do think, like, I favor Poirier, but if Conor's best chance is to win, if you were looking at it from that side, I think it is between 1 or 2, maybe 3. I think once you're out of 3, I think it should be smooth sailing for Poirier, just because of how gritty and determined he is. But there's a lot of X factors in this fight too. You know, Poirier's been in some wars too, so it's always like a question when that's going to come up. Carny, what you got?
Man, I really want Poirier to take this just because we all know how I feel about McGregor. But
Actually, the people might not know, but yeah, we do now.
Well, I know that we have talked before.
Yes.
Of course. But, yeah, I think he's a scumbag. But here's the thing. He's a very talented and fast and precise striker. And if Poirier can see all that shit coming, I think he's got him. But Conor probably has some surprises. So we know that he can kind of obsess when it comes to a rematch. And we saw how he made it with Nate. He wasn't throwing that left hand like a couple times and burning himself out. Like he was definitely biding his time and waiting for the right shots to take that. And Poirier, he does have a strong chin on him. I just hope that he fights smart and can see this stuff coming, because I'm not claiming to be some expert on this stuff, but the way I've always seen it is Conor has that left hand, and he's got that counter, and he's got speed, and he's got precision. And without that, if Poirier takes him to the ground, if Poirier wants to stand and bang with him, if he avoids that left, he should be fine. But I've been wrong once or twice in my life before.
Well, I want to just comment on something you said before we go to the next topic. It was interesting. You said Conor obsesses about stuff when he finds something. You brought up another X factor that I didn't think about, because not only does he obsess about it, he's got more resources than anybody and time to bring in people if he wants to like fix those mistakes too. Got an unlimited bank account, and the UFC's probably giving this guy more help if they want to. So, not saying he's doing that. We really don't know how motivated Conor is these days and what his schedule looks like, but that is something that, you know, he probably has to his advantage that other fighters wouldn't. Chevy?
Well, I mean, obviously, you take this with a grain of salt, but I follow them both on Instagram, and all of Conor's Instagram posts are him on a yacht or, you know, eating lunch with his fiance or wife or whatever. I mean, and then occasionally a training video of him hitting a bag in a room alone, as opposed to Dustin, who is out running the roads in Lafayette, Louisiana, or, you know, boxing and just watching the sweat pour off him. You know, he's not going to give anything away. So Conor better come with everything he's got for his rematch skills. But
All right. Well, last topic. This came out this week. There was a video at a bar with this guy that we'll call a dude bro, for lack of a better word, celebrating, a little intoxicated. And as he's trying to impress some girl at the bar, it looks like looks like he's telling his buddies too. So he's telling like some guy he was going to beat up. Of all people, he bumps into Joe Schilling. All right. Legendary kickboxer, MMA fighter. And there's a guy that walks in front too, which is kind of when the video happens. So it's kind of hard to get a quick gauge. And we don't know what they were saying or what would happen. But the guy looks like he kind of flinches at Schilling, who immediately throws a quick combination, lays this guy out. And people are all over the place on this. I've heard that, hey, he doesn't know what's coming up against him. And, of course, obviously people are saying, hey, it's some drunk guy in a fucking tie. Joe didn't have to lay him out. I did have another friend I was talking to about this, and I will read this quote. This was his take on it. Strike first, strike fast, strike hard. A man with a tie clip confronts you. He is your enemy, and an enemy deserves no mercy. So that's, one of the fans I was talking to. What do you got?
You could have torn that tie off, wrapped it around his throat, and choked him out.
Yeah.
I giggled my ass off like the second time. First time I was shocked, but then I watched it again, and I don't know. It's kind of funny to me. I mean, look. All right, so before I hand it off to you guys, Joe Schilling didn't need to lay that motherfucker out. I understand that. But I do understand, too, this. I'll play devil's advocate here a little bit. Joe's a fighter, right? Yes. But guy comes up to him in a bar, you can argue Joe's just trying to defuse the situation as fast as he can, and that's what Joe can do. Now, as I'm even saying this, I feel like that's bullshit, because Joe should probably be able to read the situation and realize this guy's clearly no fucking threat. It looks like he was having a bad day. Just my opinion. I don't know the man. It looks like he was having a bad day, and he's like, this guy fucked up, and he's going to learn.
The dude
what do you guys?
Able to read the guy's shirt that said, ring cage parking lot? Something about the shirt tells me the guy likes to throw fists.
Or bar, apparently. Doesn't matter.
So, I believe Schilling said something along the lines of, people make mistakes. He fucked up. So, I guess what his statement said was this dude with the tie in the bar was like rapping at people, being obnoxious, staring him down. I think he dropped an N-bomb at one of the servers or something. But I can't remember exactly what he said. But the part that I think is absolutely crazy is where he said that he feared for his life. I don't know what he observed, maybe on the camera that Tie Man did that would have intimidated him. It'd be the equivalent of me being in a bar and Francis Ngannou pushes me out the way, and then I decide to try to punk him, and then he wants to put me into a coma because I scared him, or he was scared for his life. Bro, you're a professional fighter. You are a trained killer. Like, there's some jobber who's just rapping to his friends in a bar. And a tie probably poses no harm unless he's affiliated with the mob or some other group of people that wear ties and kill people.
I did not get that vibe. Chevy, you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like, you have to know what happened before that video started being filmed, because in the video, and when Joe's coming back to behind the guy, you can tell he already looks annoyed. So I wonder if something happened before that. It can't just be that the guy was standing in his way, and he moved him out of the way or whatever. Obviously, as a overreaction at all. If anything, push him away or don't put your hands on him like that. And he could have ended his life. He's a very dangerous man. Mm-hmm. Also, terrible decision making from the guy in the tie, because like Carny Usada was saying, it said he'll fight anywhere on his shirt. So. Mm-hmm.
The girl's reaction made me laugh too. I don't know why. He got fucked the fuck out. He was running his mouth.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah. So I mean, look. I guess the thing is here, we all agree that Joe probably overreacted, but I think we also agree with like the suit and tie guy fucked up. Like, this should be a lesson for people still too. The flip side of this: careful who you fuck with. Right? And And if you go drinking in the bar and you know you're subject to this kind of behavior, maybe don't go drinking at the bar so much. Maybe monitor what you drink. But
It's a reality check for normal people out there.
Yeah, I think
There's killers walking around everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, there's the guy, I believe he said that he was going to file a civil case against the bar and also wanted criminal charges against Schilling. So maybe, he'll take whatever money he gets out of this and he'll start up his SoundCloud rapping career. We're going to hear a song about how he got fucking knocked out by Joe Schilling.
Jesus Christ, man. I don't know. That's so funny, right? Because I can't agree with what Joe did, but at the same time, like, I have no pity for this fucking dude. Like, it's like, also the eye test. Like, you just look at Joe Schilling as he walks by. That looked like the guy you want to fuck with. I didn't have to know what he did. I could look at him and go, something up with this guy. I'm just going to
that ain't for me.
Yeah, I'll keep on walking, So I think this guy needed to learn a lesson, even if the law doesn't agree with us. Yeah, all right.
He lost the brain cells that would help him retain that lesson.
Yeah.
Shit. I just got a question from that fan actually who told me the guy with a clip tie, show no mercy, is our enemy. Very famous quote from somewhere. I don't know. Maybe he made it up. But all right, guys. We're all recording this with no AC, so I think this is a good way to wrap up episode 3. And guys, episode 4 will come out soon. Tell us what you like. Give us some fucking topics. Maybe we'll 5-3-1 this motherfucker if you give us some ideas. And we got enough fans maybe willing to contribute some MMA lists. We're still looking for more feedback. So hit us up. And for Chevy, Carny Usada, we're out. Later.